I'm milling about with Emily Young, and she's performing in Orlando, a new musical which is currently playing at Theater Row.
Yes, indeed. Hello.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. So, Emily, tell me how you sort of portrayed Virginia in this show because it's different wherever you go, she's different.
Right, right. Um, well, one of the things that was exciting just reading the script was that she was even in it because, it's about the novel that she wrote. And so I thought, what function is she going to serve and how is it going to, what is she doing there? And she does a lot of things. She helps the audience along, with the actual story, but she's also kind of drafting the story as she goes to make sense of something that was a real life situation. So I tried to really make her as active as possible, like not no sort of dusted off museum, Virginia. And also with like the help of the director and the costume designer, we realized that this was Virginia with her hair let down. This was Virginia when she could be totally free and open and honest and like the full bandwidth of her personality, and not just what everyone sort of knows about her from her Wikipedia page or whatever, but that especially with this being a rock, well, it's more than just a rock musical, but like, it's got contemporary sounds and it's got rock and pop and everything. And so we decided that like one of the things that tipped me off late in the game was when the costume designer Lisa said that I should put more black eyeliner around my
Oh
eyes.
yeah, so she's like more goth.
Yeah, like more goth or emo. And anyway, all that really freed me to be like me and Virginia at once.
Got
So
it.
so
Got
yeah, so Virginia was a lot of things, but she was well known to have had, depressive bouts and stuff, but like this is when she's in love. And so it's like I also was glad that her humor could come out.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
You're sitting in the wings a lot and kind of observing things, and I watched you observing, and like
Uh-huh.
you've got this big smile on your face, so they don't really hide you observing, which is interesting.
Right, right. I love that about it. So there are some times when I'm truly in the wings observing, like all the actors at many points in the show. Then there's times when I'm staged on stage watching. So there's like different levels of Virginia's perspective on her own creation, on display. And so I treat each of those a little differently. The ones where I'm off the wing in the wings. So one thing is I have worked with a theater company that I belong to called Fiasco, where most every production we do, we watch.
Huh.
And it's kind of like the actors watching. And some of the joy, I think, for the audience is the enjoyment of the actors watching. And there's like a meta theatrical thing there where you can project onto the character and everything. But
Right.
when I'm off stage, I'm really just like taking it in and learning about it. And then like almost the same, but on stage, for example, in the, skating scene, I'm really like watching the action right there. And what I like to imagine is that the the action being played in real time is like informing Virginia's writing as she goes.
Hmm.
And also Virginia's having feelings and thoughts about it as she watches. So it's sort of like this reciprocal relationship. And there are times when I can actually, when the script says, and I do jump in and say, oh, let's try that differently, so some of that is really like different than anything I've done before, where we're in the headspace of the writer writing.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Also, we're at a time right now where anything goes, right? Boys can be girls, girls could be boys, gender this, gender that. And you certainly do that in this show. It's very gender bendering, and the a lot of the chorus, so to speak, are men dressed as women.
Hmm.
So talk about that.
Yeah. Well, where to begin? So there really is a very diverse cast. And actually, everyone in the cast has their own identities, which, uh we've gotten to know each other and how each other identify, and and audiences, I think, without knowing everyone personally, are going to take away what they take away. But, and of course, like the piece is playing with um identity and the way that people present, and how an audience, how onlookers treat that. And sort of, Orlando has that monologue about like, who am I, basically. It takes me almost 10 minutes to get dressed in the morning. That's kind of like a man, but I'm really tenderhearted. That's like a woman. And and she goes back and forth, kind of like a little bit addressing what it is that we as a society and history have decided is masculine or feminine. And so I think that monologue and the whole show, but specifically that monologue, is asking audiences to say, like, really, what do those things mean? And then she ends, or sorry, well, she is a woman at that point, but the actor ends the monologue saying, I'm Orlando, you know, and I think that's sort of the point, is like, can we see past what we assume about someone, and just see them for who they are. And so, you know, um, it's not as clear cut as one might think. We have different identities on the stage playing their own, playing their own identity, and other identities playing an opposite, or, formally seen as an opposite gender. And that's the beauty of it. It's like
Yeah.
one of the reasons I really wanted to do it. And I'm hoping that that actually like scrambles the audience's assumptions and perceptions, and be like, I wonder who that person is.
Have you
So,
ever performed as a boy? Have you ever sort of done that sort of gender bender kind of thing?
well, I've been in Shakespearean shows where usually what it is a heroine, dressing as a boy,
Right.
but acknowledging that. So no, and then I think I've played male characters, but it's funny, in one of the plays I did, we made the character into a female. Um, so there's like different ways in which in the past it's been treated. And so I don't know if I ever have. And in this, I don't play a boy, but I play Virginia, who contained, of course, multitudes, and had the love affair with Vita. So was a lesbian, but also married. And like, that's another thing, is that sexuality and gender identity are, um, you know, unpacked here and like separated out. And to say that, a person contains multitudes, so they can identify how they want to identify, and also be, sexually oriented the way they want to be. So, but I don't think I've ever played a female love affair before. Actually, I did once in a film,
Oh,
but
which one?
it was called Natives. It was a short film directed by my dear friend, Jeremy Hirsch. And that was like 10 or more years ago. And yeah, and I mean, I am cis woman and straight, but I think that this play applies to everyone, because I do believe that we have spectrums in us, and ways in which
Absolutely.
we identify as like more masculine or feminine, and just even in like our behaviors, and like the way we think. And so it calls attention to the constructs, you know out there.
Mhm.
um And also just like what was really interesting was entering into this like full out love affair. And I read some of their letters to each other, which are really powerful and honest and sexy and stuff. Um, and found so much there that was like just so obviously universal, you know?
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
that was really cool.
I was going to ask you about sort of your diving into her. Did you read the novel, the original novel? Tell me about that. What
I
was your
listened to the
work?
novel. I also, so the rehearsal process was a 2.5 to 3 week rehearsal. I did as much research as I could, um, while learning the lines in the piece. And it was a lot, but I read some of her, you know, a biography about her, which Nora, the playwright, had given me, and then I read some of the letters that Vita and Virginia passed back and forth, and it was fascinating. I mean, it really helped me understand what was at play here because the writers of this, both Cindy, the composer, and Nora, the writer, like they've expressed that this piece is very close to their heart and like really um they know it inside out, and so I had to catch up a little, and same with Evie, the lead. They know it too very well, and they lent me the book between Vita and Virginia, and the second I started writing it was like, oh, like they were so free with and honest with their feelings. I mean, yes, they built up to being fully, you know, engaged in the relationship, like, but the way you would expect, like they were flirtatious and really bold in a way. And that helped me actually let loose a little more and not feel like I had the pressure to play so closeted, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it was just great. And then with Virginia's biography too, just learning that she came from a sort of lively, like big family where her parents were very engaged. And if I recall, at least one of them, and maybe like grandparents or uncles or something, were of the literary set, you know. So she was like around that and kind of born into that level of intellectual discourse. So all of that stuff like helped me say, oh, okay, okay, I'm on the right track. Like I can be as smart as I want, you know, I can be as witty. Like that's another thing is like I didn't know where her sense of humor lay. And the books really helped. So, and I did listen to the novel, which is very beautiful. Like some of the actual ways in which she constructs sentences is really mind-blowing.
Mhm.
Um,
I know that you've done films. Did you watch Orlando the film?
I haven't yet.
Oh, you have
Yet. It's
to.
like I
You
just
have
ran out
to.
of time.
Oh,
Yeah,
you must.
I
It's
have to. Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah. So I want to hear a little bit more about you. Where did you grow up? How did you sort of start in this crazy business?
Oh my God. Yeah. So I grew up in New York City,
Okay.
right here.
In
And
your bedroom. That's
right
where you
here,
grew
yeah.
up.
This house, no, actually, but across town. So Upper East Side, like Yorkville. And it's so funny. One of the other actors in the cast, we grew up and went to similar schools. Like we found each other right away. New Yorkers tend to.
Yeah.
And and it's fun. It was fun to realize that. But so I grew up in New York and I went to public school. Like I did everything that I could that was available, like musicals and drama clubs and um, you know, sort of normal stuff. And always pursued the academic route when it came to it though, because I got into LaGuardia, but I also got
Oh,
into
yeah.
Stuyvesant High School and I went there. And then in college, I started doing it more seriously. And then after college, I went to the Brown Trinity Rep Consortium, which is an MFA for acting.
Ah,
So we
okay.
sort of chose straight acting path, although I've done a lot of musicals, luckily. And after after Brown Trinity, I definitely, worked here and there. I remember I was working on another student film when my friend from Brown Trinity called and said, "We're doing a production of Cymbeline, like a showcase, which is what Orlando is all these years later. Um, would you just want to be in it?" And that production started my now like 15-year relationship in this theater company called Fiasco.
Oh yeah.
And those the other company members who are dear friends all went to Brown Trinity at one point or another. So we weren't all in the same class, but like around that time. And we just kept doing shows after Cymbeline. This was after I had made my Broadway debut in Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson. So
Which
things,
I loved, by the way.
oh, thank you.
Loved
Thank
it.
you.
So good.
It did go to Broadway, but it was short-lived, I guess. I mean, 4 months, 5 months, but it was just so fun and really, yeah, really exciting. And the writing was great. And anyway, and so then Cymbeline and then after Cymbeline, our company did Into the Woods in a reimagined version of that. And we met Sondheim and that started a relationship there, which led to us doing Merrily We Roll Along later on. And
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Love
yeah, we
improv.
oh yeah, well, yeah, this one most recently, which I heard was amazing. We did
Oh
one at
yeah.
a roundabout. And like in 2018 before the pandemic. And anyway, and so we've done a lot of Shakespeare's and the company is still working. So like that has been sort of a artistic home. And some TV peppered throughout and just like and now I guess I forgot to mention that I also direct. So
Okay.
yeah.
Directing a play or
Yeah, so I co-directed a play for Fiasco and called The Night of the Burning Pestle. And then I also recently directed a new play for a workshop, and have some other things that may blossom out of that. So
oh, so we're going to be seeing a lot more of you, I have a feeling.
I don't know. I hope so. I hope so. Just like I love working. So you know, and also Fiasco is like taking a break right this second before the spring. And so when Camille offered this, or when Visceral did, and I knew it was because I knew Camille, um, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so different and like fresh for me and different and a musical and fun. So I said yes, and it's been really amazing getting to know these other um forces of nature in the cast.
Wonderful. So in closing, what do you hope audiences come away with when they see Orlando? A new musical, which has nothing to do with Orlando, the other musical, which I'm sure is very confusing.
Right. So wait, is that other musical the Sarah Rule one, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Yes, and Taylor Mack was. I know, I wish I could have seen that one. I feel like Orlando is in the zeitgeist because then there was another one by a friend, Steve Epp, and his daughter. So anyway, and I wished I could have seen that one too because I'm fascinated when things appear and like reappear, you know?
It
Um,
happens. Yeah.
it's really cool. So, well, first of all, I hope you come because there's 1 week left. It's like 7 more performances, I think. And um, what do I hope you take away? I really hope that well, first of all, this version different than the movie, let's say, like if you're coming for something like The Hours or for Tilda Swinton or whatever, which are all amazing. It's different. It's campy. It's like uh got a lot of sort of yeah, campy humor and and rock and pop, and the music is very eclectic. So that's like something I hope you'll enjoy about it. I also hope that you can see it as though it's like that all of these issues of gender and identity are now like in the mainstream, as opposed to it being sort of a fringe type uh material. Like I think what's exciting about it is to say, Virginia wrote this story this way, and now we're doing the musical this way, which is that it's about a protagonist, a hero, heroine, that we can all identify with on a big adventure. And that's the takeaway. And so that it can be seen as a story that's on its own merits, really wonderful.
Wonderful. Well, Emily, thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining me.
Ooh, it was fun to talk.
Yeah, and same here. And enjoy the rest of your week in the show.
Thank you.
And yeah, and again, it's playing at Theater Row off Broadway in New York City, so don't miss it.
Thanks. See you there.
Always news. Always refreshing. Always candid. Always milling about. Robin Milling delivers what celebrities are saying to you.